Thanks for having me. I've never been on a stage like this before, and I never dreamed it would be my tits that brought me here, but I will take what I can get right now. I'll take what I can get. Thank you. So it was last year. I was getting ready for work. I jumped out of the shower, putting my moisturiser on, and I found a lump on my right boob. And I thought, well, that won't be cancer. I don't have any family history. I'm 39, so I'm relatively young. I'm not overweight. I don't smoke. I don't drink that much. And I thought, no, there's no way that bad boy's going to be cancer. Anyway, like a good girl guide, I went to see the GP, who agreed it's probably hormonal. 2 weeks later, I saw the consultant, and in that time, another 4 lumps had grown. So I thought, jackpot, cannot be cancer. Cancer doesn't do that. I must be having a really rough month, it must be a hormonal thing. And I thought, besides, I have not got time for this. I work full time. I've got 3 small kids. I'm caring for my mum with dementia. I don't have time for this. It can't be cancer. I had an on-the-spot mammogram, ultrasound, biopsy, and then 4 days later, I was told the news that I was not expecting to hear. And it was, I'm really sorry, Helen, you've got grade 3 invasive breast cancer. It was 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, and I'd been busy planning for my party, and my to-do list was how much Prosecco do I need, how much vodka do I need, and now actually the to-do list at home was, unfortunately, a mastectomy the following week. I then had to have lymph node surgery because it had gone to my lymph nodes, 16 rounds of chemo, 15 rounds of radiotherapy, and 17 bouts of targeted immunotherapy. So it was my life flipped kind of overnight. And lots of people have said to me, how did you tell the children? How do you tell your children that mum's got cancer? And it was really difficult, and so I left it a few days, and because I didn't want to be upset when I told them. And I sat them down and I said, so you've got verrucas on your toes. Don't judge me. For some reason, my kids keep getting verrucas. You've got verrucas on your toes. Well, we have to put cream on it. And if we don't put cream on it, then it's going to get bigger and it might spread. Well, mummy's got something like that. It's in her boob. So the doctors need to take it away. And then I'm going to have some special medicine. And my 5-year-old was like, all right, can I watch Paw Patrol? It's like anticlimax. Whereas my eldest, my son that you just saw on the VT there, he said, is it cancer? And I was totally floored. Like, I had no idea that a 9-year-old knew what cancer was. And he said, I know it kills people. And then my middle daughter, she was really, really confused. She was 7. And sort of the next day, my husband, who had taken some time off work to be with me, I must say, as an aside, a plus thing about me getting cancer was I got shit done around the house. So my husband was up the ladder, he was putting shelves up, the leaky tap in the kitchen, it was finally being fixed, it was amazing. But my middle daughter got really upset and I couldn't understand why, and she came running to me and she said, you're going to die. I said, why am I going to die? And she held up my husband's B&Q book that's called How to DIY, but she read it as How to Die. So she thought, bless her, so on her mind and on all of my kids' minds was death. So what we learnt in our house is that very quickly we just needed to be really open about my cancer and my treatment, and that seemed to really help, but so much so that my youngest decided to take my fake boob into school for her show and tell, which was quite embarrassing. And she would quite often tell people that my mum she's only got one boob. Why don't you show them, Mum? I'm not going to show them. Don't show them the good one, show them the bad one, the one that the nipple's not there and it's now in your arm. No, that's my chemo port, it's not my nipple. But that's kind of the conversation. So it did very much become the new norm in our house. So chemo started fairly soon after my mastectomy, and my husband and I went one day to meet Maria, who was my chemo nurse, and she talked us through all the various side effects of chemo. And I know, of course, it kills my cancer cells, any rogue cancer cells, but the negatives of it, the side effects, were horrific. You might get mouth ulcers, cramps, losing fingers, maybe losing your hair. But what she also said was, you're essentially going to lose your sex life. I was like, what do you mean your sex life? So she had a very thick Italian accent, and she said, and Helen, sorry, your, how do I say, your sexy time, your vagina get very, very sensible. And of course she meant sensitive, but me and my husband were laughing that, okay, you might take my hair, but you're going to put my fanny on the straight and narrow. So I'm good with that, I'm good with that. I'm so good with that. So there I was, midway through chemo, and my hair did start to thin. Thankfully, not too much, thanks to Paxman cooling system. My nails were splitting. I was having to eat through a straw thanks to my ulcers. And yet, you know what? I felt really lucky because on my journey, I'd met another woman who was younger than me. She had the same diagnosis, but found her symptom too late. And so I feel forever thankful for that, and she's never left my mind and has been a driving force, and even on the days where I just want to hide under the duvet, I've been hell-bent on shouting from the rooftops about the importance of breast awareness. And from that, my idea of the Change and Check campaign was born, which is one of these. It's a simple sticker, which goes on changing room mirrors to remind people to check themselves, but also what you're looking for. So far, John Lewis, Monsoon, David Lloyd, Ted Baker, Asda, are some of the retailers that have taken it on nationwide. It's even been discussed in Parliament. So 18, thank you. Thanks. It was 18 months ago that I started my treatment, and 3 days ago I finished. And it's, thank you. I'm so happy. It's, sorry. It's been a pretty shitty time. But in that time, 10 women have contacted me to say thank you for helping them detect their cancer early. And knowing this has made me feel like that my diagnosis was worth something, and that the campaign I'm doing is doing what I hoped it would. And I want to say thank you to Future Dreams for seeing the potential in my work and for funding thousands and thousands of these bad boys that are going to go up to even more places and hopefully save more lives. And thank you very, very much for having me today. Thank you.